Hola, bienvenidos a la clase de español. Has this ever happened to you? You're trying to do your Spanish homework.
Oh man, ¿qué harías este verano? What will you do this summer? Alright, este verano I will work.
Really trying to do it by yourself.
Yo will. How do you say will?
And you just can't figure out what to do.
Will. It's not on the vocab list. What will you do this summer? How do you say will? Figures. Oh, Will, I can just look at this.
You've got to write a paragraph about what you will do this summer, and you just can't figure out how to write it. Can't figure out how to say will in Spanish.
Este verano yo será trabajar. No, that doesn't sound right. Oh, there's other. Voluntad. Yo no. Yo albedrío. What?
These make sense.
Just forget about this. What's up, man?
First, what am I always telling you, man? You gotta get your work done first, then you play Fortnite, alright?
You know what? It's okay. It's because there's really no word for will. Well, time out. That's not quite right. There's a word for this kind of will, and a word for this kind of will, and a word for this kind of will. But none of those are the will you want. You want the will that deals with the things that are going to happen in the future. And there's just not a word for that. Fortunately, though, in Spanish, there is the future tense. And the future tense is what corresponds to using the word will in English. I'm going to show you how we do that. Now, conjugating in the future tense is a little bit different than any other tense that we've conjugated in so far. And that's because all of the tenses that we've conjugated in so far are built on the stem of the verb. The future tense isn't. Instead, the future tense is built on what we can call the future stem of the verb, or the stem for the future tense. Now, for regular verbs, that stem is exactly the same as the infinitive, and I only want to get into the regular verbs in this video. So any verb that we're going to use today in this video, we're just going to take the infinitive and then put your future tense endings on that. Now, future tense endings are what I like to call shoebox endings. I don't know why we have so many things that deal with shoes when it's conjugating verbs in Spanish, but it seems like we do. Anyway, these shoebox endings are going to be applied exactly the same to all verbs. AR verbs, ER verbs, IR verbs, even the irregulars when we get to those. They're all going to have the same future tense endings. And those shoebox endings are these. As, amos, that's the only one that doesn't have an accent, ace, and on. The reason I call them shoebox endings, if you were to kind of draw around the endings that start with the vowel E, you'd kind of have one shoe. And if you were to draw around the endings that start with the vowel A, you'd kind of have another shoe, and they're kind of fit together like two shoes in a shoebox. So there you have it. Future tense. For regular verbs, don't drop the ending. It's so important. Don't drop the ending. You want the future stem, which is for regular verbs the same as the infinitive. And then you just add your shoebox endings onto that. You've got a verb in the future tense. Now, when would you use the future tense? Well, as we saw at the beginning of this little explanation, the future tense is what corresponds to using the word will before a verb in English. So if you wanted to say, I will eat, you just take comer, take the yo form future tense ending right onto the end of comer, and you'd say comeré, I will eat. If you wanted to ask someone, where will you go on vacation next summer? You would say, ¿A dónde irás de vacaciones el próximo verano? Notice that I just used the verb ir in a regular verb video. Crazy, right? The future tense is basically the first time that we've seen the verb ir act as a regular verb, and the verb ser is regular in the future as well. So if you wanted to say, I will be a doctor in Spanish, you'd say, seré médico. Ta-da! Gracias por ver este video. Now I know you all will be able to conjugate verbs in the future tense. Adios!